and we're hoping that the IMF will come to our rescue. That deal is not sealed yet, and there are one or two economies that have faced similar situations where we have seen fuel has become the major situation that grinds economic activity to a halt. This is what this country is trying to avoid at all costs, that we should not find ourselves in a circumstance where we don't have fuel, so people can go and do what they must do and the economy to completely, as it were, collapse. So the government introduced what it called the Gold for Oil program. What is it? We'll get some explanation on that. Bawumia says it is saving the country $4.8 billion US dollars. $4.8 billion US dollars. That's what it will save us each year. The opposition has some concerns that it will rather worsen our current situation, for which we are before the IMF cap in hand. Right. So let's start with this. And Mercer, who is the Deputy Minister for the Energy area, will help us to appreciate, first of all, what this Gold for Energy policy is. What is it? Good morning.
It's been a while.
That's
I haven't been on your show for quite some time. And let me say good morning to my good friend Eduji and our cherished viewers and listeners. Indeed, as the Vice President explained a couple of days ago, the Gold for Oil policy is really very simple. We, as a government, realized that owing to especially the Russian-Ukraine invasion, supply chain challenges had evolved that then had led to some countries experiencing shortages of petroleum products. Of course, our own peculiar economic situation where forex availability was becoming a challenge for the Bank of Ghana. Import cover was dwindling, and so then the demand for dollar to import petroleum products then led to a spiraling, in the depreciation of the cedi, especially because the BDC's forward price, by forward price, what it only means is that if they import a commodity today at, say, 10 cedis to the dollar, because there's a window within which they sell and re-import, they want to assure themselves that by the time they sell the commodity, they will be able to generate sufficient enough to buy the same dollar to replace their stocks. And so rather than selling it for 10, they will sell it for 15 Ghana cedis. Bank of Ghana is not meeting the demand, so at a point they were forward pricing the petroleum product at 19 cedis to the dollar, just so that they can go and buy the commodity when it runs out. That 19 cedis to the dollar is what you and I pay, which then led to petroleum prices rising as high as 23, 24 cedis per liter. And so it became important for government to rethink how we then find ways of intervening to ensure that, especially because the data showed that out of the two components that determine the petroleum pricing, which is the FOB price and the forex impact, the forex impact had a greater percentage in terms of impact on the price than the FOB increases at the global market. And so if you had a policy that then ensured that the forex was stable or reduced to the levels that are accommodating, then you have an impact on the price. And so we began the conversation called stakeholders to find a way to ensure that we were not going to go through the kinds of challenges that other countries, Nigeria and other places, Kenya, even UK, were encountering with respect to queues at the pumps. And that then led to us evolving this policy of Gold for Oil, which purely is that Bank of Ghana aggregates gold here in country by buying from small, medium scale operators who ordinarily would have exported, and if all things were working well, would have repatriated the funds into Ghana to support our import bill. But that fund in itself was not coming. And so aggregating the gold here, paying for it in cedi, and externalizing it to then either swap or sell the gold to fund the petroleum imports would help in reducing the demand that ordinarily BDCs would be having for dollar, at least to the extent that the Gold for Oil program was providing.
Small scale
yes,
gold miners
yes,
get their gold.
Yes.
They would have sold it abroad.
Well, they have people who buy the gold and export.
That's correct.
Yes.
Now, the government says, you have a buyer in us. Sell it to the Bank of Ghana.
PMMC.
Great.
Yeah.
So you sell it to the
Precisely.
Bank of Ghana, so to speak.
Yes.
And then you use that gold.
Yes.
Or you sell that gold.
Yes.
To get the currency to buy the oil.
Precisely.
The problems that are raised, you are actually, from what you are saying, you are solving two problems.
Yes.
Making sure we have oil, we don't run short of it, and at a price that is reasonable. And two, by doing so, you are also holding up the cedi, so it doesn't depreciate, and our economy gets even worse.
So really, what causes the cedi depreciation? It's a function of demand and supply. And so if BDCs require $400 million per month, and Bank of Ghana is unable to provide them that $400 million, they will have to look for it elsewhere, and that demand creates the depreciation. And so if you're able to take 200 million, okay, of that demand out of the forex market, then you reduce the pressure. And so that then reduces the demand for the dollar, which then impacts the exchange rate. So
when the vice president says it's going to save us 4.8 billion.
Yes.
That's far in excess of what we are going to the IMF for. We're going to IMF for only 3 billion. What does it mean? How exactly are we making these savings?
So if you listen to the tape that you played, he clearly is saying that the objective is to do 100% of our petroleum product importation through the program, and that we're going to work with the BDCs to ensure that we achieve that. Now, if we achieve the 100% importation through the Gold for Oil program, what it then means is that the demand for dollar of 400 per month by 12, which takes us to 4.8 billion, would not be available anymore.
Okay. Just hold it there briefly.
Sure.